Just for starting to record the class. So again, some of you were on yesterday when I gave a class in the middle of the day, which was primarily geared towards women's issues for this year for Pesach. And tonight's class, it's going to be, it'll cover a lot of those issues, but it will cover some of them differently. It'll be a little less focused on the women's issues, some more general issues, more specific to men. The thing that I think that is important to know, if anyone's interested, I can definitely send you the recording of that other class. And between the two, hopefully we cover all issues. Hopefully we'll be able to get to the major issues. Tonight, I'm gonna work on an assumption that you know the basic laws of the holiday of Pesach. I'm gonna try and talk about some of the things that are, manish tana, what's different this year. And there are some things that are different this year. I'll try and point out where I'm making a point that there's some leniency or some difference or some situational change as a result of this year. And sometimes there's things that people didn't know that were always true, but that it will be helpful for this year. So that's going to be my goal. So let me get started, and I'll be happy to make time for questions at the end. I imagine there will be. So the first thing we'll start with in terms of preparing for Pesach is the stuff that comes before Pesach. We know that there's a lot of stuff that happens before Pesach. Pesach is not a holiday that starts when the holiday begins. You have to prepare before. In fact, the Chachamim talk about the fact that we kind of start preparing for Pesach a month before, as we have, we prepare for Pesach a month before, which is Purim. Already from Purim, you're starting to prepare for Pesach. And for many of you, that means getting rid of all the Mishloach Manot. Why? Because we know we have to get rid of the chametz before Pesach starts. You can't have chametz on Pesach. Not only can you have it on Pesach, even the day before Pesach, from the morning before, you can't eat it. You have to get rid of it and so on. So one of the major things that we associate the holiday with Pesach is this frantic, frenetic cleaning that we do before the holiday begins. And I really want to talk about that for a second to say that it may not need to be as frantic, as frenetic as we tend to make it. Because it's conflated with a spring cleaning, a lot of times we think we have to turn over the whole house completely in order to make sure that everything is good. And the reality is that we don't have to do that much in order to kosher our house for Passover. So let me explain what we do have to do according to the letter of the law. And then after that, it's kind of how you want to keep your home and what you want to do. But a lot of it is not necessarily a requirement. So let me talk about the requirements. The requirements are that you have to get rid of the chametz that's in your house. That's it. So only the places where there is chametz. And what does that mean exactly? It means you wipe it down, you sweep it off, and you're done. You do not have to get to every single, you want to get to any place where chametz could have gotten to. But there are places where chametz doesn't go. You don't bring it there. It's never been there. You haven't opened it. Places like that, you don't have to go. So where are the places that we have to be careful? In the kitchen, where the children go, their bedrooms, where they leave their knapsacks. The knapsacks is like the number one place that people have to clean really, really well is the children's knapsacks. And they haven't been using them in a while, so there's probably moldy stuff in there at this point. But make sure you clean the knapsacks up. Basically, you have to do a basic cleaning and get rid of any real chametz. We're going to talk about crumbs and things like that, which most of us get rid of anyway. But most of the chametz that we have is in boxes, is in packages, and so on and so forth. Take it and get rid of it. How do I get rid of it? I get rid of it by throwing it out or other things that we're going to talk about that you can do. Now, the place that's the trickiest is the car. The car tends to have the most crumbs and mess and so on and so forth. Again, with the car, you want to clean it out, wipe all the spots, clean off any of the areas that you see that there's things. If you could get a dustbuster or a vacuum into the car, great. You're not going to be able to get to the car wash. I think they're all closed. So you want to get as much of it as you can. But what I'm going to say is the following thing. We have a concept that's called bitul. Bitul means we nullify what we have. So we say before Pesach, right in an hour leading up to when you can't have chametz anymore in the morning, we say a statement which is any chametz that I have, whether I know about it, don't know about it, it's like the dust of the earth. So if there is some little speck of dust in the back seat of the car that you can't reach and you can't get to, it's nullified, it's gone, you're finished. You aren't eating it anyway. And when you say bitul, you're finished. So you don't have to get frantic or frenetic over that little piece. It's gone. It's considered dust of the earth, and it's finished. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, is that we work hard. I don't want to ignore that there's still hard work under what I'm saying, but I think sometimes there's one second. Okay, 1 second. Sometimes there's things that 1 second. Just waiting to see. You know, we set up a new thing that you have to come through a waiting room. So I'm looking to see who's coming. If I don't recognize them, I have to let them leave. Okay. 1 second. Okay, never mind. Okay. Where was I? Sorry. Oh, the B tool. So the B tool covers a lot, and the cleaning, again, we want to clean well, but understand the purpose of the cleaning. The purpose of the cleaning is get rid of any chametz, but only the chametz that you can see, touch, feel. Some of the things like the koshering, some levels of the koshering go a little too far. I spent a lot of time on this in the women's class. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'll take questions at the end. But I think one of the areas that people are the most serious about, that maybe they don't have to be, is the countertops. The countertops, depending on what they're made of and how they're used. If they're not used for hot chametz, there is no need to kosher them. You could wipe them off. Anything that's used with cold, all you have to do is wipe it down, and that's good enough. So most of the countertops, most of the time, don't have direct contact with hot chametz, and therefore you can simply wipe it off, and that will be good enough for the countertops. This year we have an unusual thing. I don't know if it's true, but someone sent it to me, and it seems possible, which is that the fire department is saying that we should not be burning the chametz outside. Not with individual fires, and they're not going to be creating these communal fires for social distancing purposes. So what do? So the truth is, you don't have to burn the chametz. You could get rid of chametz in a number of ways. One, you can eat it. That's an easy way. Two is you could give it to someone, a housekeeper or someone else, if you find someone that you can give it to. Three, if you get rid of it early enough, you could throw it into the garbage can or something. That's fine too. The other thing that you can do, the other two things that you can do that are very possible, is to scatter it into the wind. So to go to Ocean Parkway, break it up into little pieces, and just leave it out there for the birds to eat, that's fine. To throw it into the ocean, Caesar's Bay or something like that, to do that, that's also okay. That's fine. You could even, be careful not to clog it, flush it down your toilet. Break it into little pieces and flush it down the toilet. All of that is acceptable for burning the chametz. And so that's definitely a way that people can do to get rid of the chametz if we're unable to burn the chametz this year, as it looks like we're gonna be unable to be doing individual fires per the directions of the FDNY. Stay tuned on that, but it seems like that's the case. Okay, now the last thing that you could do, of course, is to sell any chametz that you have. And many of us do have chametz that we don't want to burn, eat, get rid of, or so on. Often it's alcohol and things of that nature. And it's no problem to sell chametz. The best way to deal with selling chametz is to put it all in one area or a couple of areas in a particular home. Make a mark over it, put it in a cabinet with tape, put a sign next to it or something so that people won't take it by mistake. Don't forget that you have it. And you could sell it. And how do I sell it? All you have to do is go online. Top link on bneiyitzchakweb.org is sell your chametz online. There's already 60 people, at least this morning, that signed up already. If you haven't signed up, bneiyitzchakweb.org. Actually, I think we now have bneiyitzchak.com and bneiyitzchak.org also going to that site. So you can set the top link. You could sell your chametz as long as you click that link and sign up before 10 a.m. the morning before Pesach. we will sell your chametz for you. And that's how you can get rid of a lot of chametz, which should make things a lot easier in terms of the cleaning, because you just walk into your closet and either cover up a couple of shelves, move things over, close that closet up or something along those lines. And you're going to sell that chametz, and that chametz is gone. So all of that is acceptable. I'm going to stop here for a minute to see if anyone has any questions that they want to ask on getting rid of chametz or koshering utensils. The next thing I'm going to go to is new utensils, which there's a new twist this year. So if anyone has any questions, feel free. Feel free, if you have any questions, feel free to come in.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Albert, go ahead.
The barbecue grills that possibly put bread on it.
Sure, great question. So barbecue grills, it's a relatively easy clean, assuming that you had some chametz on it. Basically, you turn it on to the highest. You could do a couple of things. One is that you can blowtorch it till it's white hot, and you'll see the color change on it. That's a harder thing to do. An easier thing to do would be to take a piece of tinfoil and just place it over the grill, turn the grill on the highest and cover it up. And leave it that way for about 25 minutes. It will completely decimate the grill. It cleans off. This is a good barbecue trick. And any time of year, it really gets to the heart of it. And it gets rid of any chametz that would be there. So in terms of dealing with the grill, just take a piece of tin foil that covers the grill completely, turn it on the highest temperature, close it, let it sit there for about 20-25 minutes, and then the grill is fine. Okay?
Can we put it in the self-cleaning oven?
You could put it in the self-cleaning oven. This is a little easier and a little less messy. So you could put it in a self-cleaning oven. Self-clean does damage to the oven, and it does damage to the grill potentially. So you don't have to necessarily do as much as the self-clean. The oven itself, if you turn it on for 45 minutes on the highest temperature, an hour for sure, you're good. You're good. Any other questions on getting rid of the chametz or anything like that? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. I'm happy to answer.
Rabbi,
Yes,
this year, we know that there's a problem as far as getting greens and stuff like that. Can I order extra chametz now and store it knowing that I'm going to do this because of the situation that we're having on
Audrey, it's the pizza.
Groceries after the holidays?
Come in. The pizza.
So 1 second. So you're saying, I just want to understand the question. You want to order chametz from now that you're going to use after the holiday. So I would say yes, but only if you're going to get it, if you're sure you're going to get it before the holiday. You don't want to be getting chametz on the holiday, because then that's not sold, because you didn't own it in the first place. You couldn't sell it on the holiday. So if you can get it tomorrow, this happens on a regular year. I've seen this happen where someone has a brit milah or something that they know they're going to have right after the holiday. So they fill their freezer, no problem. And they sell their freezer, no problem. Okay. Yeah, Diane, go ahead, Diane.
Yes, two questions. One, sure. In terms of, you had mentioned that you're completely on board with Rabbi Abadi's kosher list that it's
right. I said that in the other class.
Yes.
So what I said was, look, I just want to talk about that list for a second. I was going to get to it later, but okay, I'll say it now. There are many lists that exist. So you have to understand what makes something kosher for Pesach is the absence of chametz, not the hashgacha that's on it. However, the hashgacha lets you know that someone said about this particular item that it's good. So it's great if everything that you can get a hashgacha. You're going to find that it's not going to be so simple or easy for a lot of different reasons. And some things like fruits, vegetables, water, so it's easy and you don't end up needing a hashgacha on that type of thing. However, in order to fill the gap, there are a number of rabbis, the JSOR, Rabbi Blumenkrantz, Rabbi Abadi, who have all created lists. All those names that I just named, I trust those rabbis. They are good rabbis. They are knowledgeable rabbis. And if they said it's kosher for Pesach, they understand what it means to say something is kosher for Pesach, and it means they did their homework and that you can rely on that. Whether or not every other rabbi in the world will tell you that, you know what? As all of you know, there's a lot of other stuff that gets involved in this type of thing. I am telling you, I would follow any one of the lists that I just mentioned, because those are lists that I know of. Blumenkrantz, JSOR, Rabbi Abadi, any one of those 3 lists, those are good by me.
Okay, so that's in terms of his food and the kosher for Pesach food.
Yes.
I was reading in his section on koshering things, and
Yeah.
I was wondering if, if going through those processes, you're also,
on that, I didn't go through everything that he wrote there, so I don't, I might have differences of opinion between what he has and not. So
okay.
if there's a specific question, I'm happy to try and answer it. But
Okay, at this point, I don't have a question about that. But so now, in terms of silverware, generally, I boil. Actually, I already did. But somebody asked me, they said that they were told that you could kosher your dishwasher, put your silver in the dishwasher, and run it on its highest. Is that acceptable?
I wouldn't.
You broke up. I didn't hear the answer.
I would recommend the boiling process. It's not simple and easy, but it's not that difficult that we can't do it. So I don't think there's a need to do that. And so therefore I wouldn't. And I do worry about how hot the dishwasher gets. Not every dishwasher gets the level of heat that we want to get to. So I'll say that about the dishwasher. One of the other things that I wanted to point out, which I pointed out in the women's class the other day, which tends to blow people's minds, and this is not a this year halacha. This is a Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, and it's really just straight out of Shulchan Aruch. You can cook in non-kosher for Passover pots from before Passover. If you take the food out of those pots before Passover, you can eat that food on Passover, provided that food has no chametz in it itself. So let's say I have a regular baking tray, right? Or the grill that Albert didn't yet kosher yet. And I cook something on it. I take it off. This is all before Pesach. And I put it in the freezer. And then I'm going to take it out and use it on the holiday on Pesach. No problem. You can do this. So if someone wants to pre-cook rice today and then put it in the freezer or the fridge and cook it in a non-kosher for Passover pot, provided there's no actual chametz in that pot, you can use that food on the holiday. I know that's something that drives a lot of people. Yosef, it's Shulchan Aruch. It's like not,
can I ask if that applies to an Instant Pot pressure cooker? Because sometimes things can maybe get in nooks and crannies and things like that. What do you think?
I'm not so familiar with how the Instant Pot pressure cooker works, but I will say the following thing. If there's nooks and crannies, clean the nooks and crannies. If you can't clean the nooks and crannies, then the chances are it's not there and it's not getting in and out. If you can't get it out, then you can't get it out. Use what you have to. I don't know the pressure cooker exactly, okay. But if you can't clean it, then it's not a sanitary item. So it seems to me not a problem.
Okay, thanks.
Rabbi, does that apply to the oven as well? You don't have to kosher your oven if you're cooking before?
Correct. I do not. If I want to cook kosher for Passover food now in my oven, I do not have to kosher it. So let's say right now in the house where there's a lot of different, right now, if your house is like my house, it's 3 squares a day and lots of activity, but you want to start getting ahead to cook for Pesach. You do not have to kosher your oven. You can cook from now. Just make sure when you do that it's clean. It has to be clean. There can't be any actual chametz in there that was left over. So like in my toaster, there's like crumbs and things like that. That's not okay. But if there's no actual chametz in the oven, it's no problem to cook in that oven today.
And even if
and that should save a lot of people a lot of headache.
If 24 hours haven't passed since you used it for chametz, you can still do it, or you need to wait?
Even if you used it 30 seconds before. Okay. As long as there's no actual chametz in it.
Thank you.
1/60th applies to that?
It could be 1/100th. You could have stuffed the whole oven with bread, 5 minutes before. You took the bread out, and now you want to put in, a steak that you're going to cook. You could put that steak in, provided all the breadcrumbs and all the bread is out. You can put the steak in, and
I'm saying if you found after a breadcrumb, but it's really just 1/60th.
When it happens, call me. It's not, that one's a little more difficult. Okay. I don't want to say absolutely yes, and I don't want to say absolutely no. It'll depend on the case.
Rabbi, I have elderly parents.
Yes.
Can't go in their home. Trying to kosher for Passover.
Okay.
What degree do I say it's okay?
The,
Like if I
to
take
the
out all
full
the
degree.
hametz,
Look, you can't go in their house. So that's number one. It's a health issue. I assume they have some level of health, some level of help, excuse me. And what I would ask the help to do is as best as possible do a cleaning and to take whatever items that are chametz to put them in one place or two places or three places and then sell the house. So sell
but I
all
don't
the,
even know, like, the problem is, like, they don't even know what really hametz is. It's
give them a
really
little bit of direction. The truth is, I mean, look, you don't want them feeding your parents chametz, right? So you gotta be careful about that. So you do have to give them a little bit of a primer on what chametz is. But without that,
What about pots and stuff?
what's that?
What about pots and stuff? They have a hametz, they have a Passover closet.
So
But
look, you know what? That's a more complicated case. We'll talk offline about how to do this. Okay? It's a great question. I'm happy to help, and we'll talk offline about how to arrange for that. It's doable. Okay.
Rabbi, can you explain the proper way to kosher an oven for Pesach?
Yes, as we said before, highest temperature, 45. You know, so it's either 480, 500, something like that, or self-clean. 45 minutes to an hour. It's plenty. Okay, good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to move on past the chametz
How do I
questions.
go?
We can come back to it. I just want to get to some other issues that are going to come up. Okay. A huge issue that people are asking about now is I bought new utensils and I want to dip them in the mikveh. I want to, you may or may not be aware that utensils that are made out of metal or glass or plastic, if I've gotten them, if they were at any time owned by a non-Jew, when a Jew gets them and owns them now, ownership transfers from the non-Jew to Jew, the Jew has to dip the utensils in the mikveh. This is common practice all the time. It's always true. The problem that we have now is, can you go to mikveh now, right? You maybe ordered some new glassware or stemware or something, you know, or silverware, and now you want to dip it in the mikveh. You shouldn't. You should not use that mikveh. The women's mikveh is very different than the utensils mikveh. The women's mikveh is filled with chlorine. It's sanitized all the time. There's only one person there at a time. They're doing a lot to protect the women's mikveh, so it's not a problem to use the women's mikveh. And it's not just me saying that. It's a lot of the doctors in the community who are really overseeing the guidelines and so on. And God bless the doctors and the rabbis and everyone that's doing phenomenal jobs on working together to make sure that there's public health. The women's mikveh, no problem. The providing you're following the guidelines that are laid out, which they have. Okay. The kelim mikveh, big problem. Don't go to the kelim mikveh. It's not sanitized. It's not chlorinated. Plus, there's no one there watching to say you don't go next to you. Don't go. It's not necessary. But what do? There's a halacha. There's a halacha that says only if the Jew owns it. But if the Jew doesn't own it, and it's not a problem. So what can I do? I can gift it to a non-Jew. I can take, if I have a housekeeper or some other person that I know, I could say, here, this is yours. If they own it, you don't have to dip it anymore because it's not owned by a Jew, it's owned by a non-Jew. So you can gift it to someone. If someone is interested in a greater level of stringency on this, I can get you an official contract with an official bein who will transfer the ownership and do it if you want. But the truth is, you can just say, here, it's yours. If you have a housekeeper, an aide, a business partner, just say, here, it's yours, give it to them. And of course, you could say, hey, I may want it back later. That's okay also. So that's what we would say about dipping utensils. Do not take your utensils to the mikveh. It is not a good thing health-wise, and that supersedes anything else. And the way out of this is to gift it to a non-Jewish person. Sorry, one second. Just admitting a couple of people are coming late. Okay, now, next thing that we have is Birkat HaIlanot. Now, you may be familiar with this baracha. When the month of Nisan starts, which is usually in the spring, the trees are starting to flower and bud. We actually have a baracha called Birkat HaIlanot, which we make from the beginning of Nisan. You have to be outside. You got to find a tree. There are a couple of trees in the neighborhood. I am aware of trees on East 9th Street between Avenue R and Avenue S, outside Rabbi El Nadav, outside you can make the beracha there. Here's what I recommend. There's a lot of, the beracha is 3 lines long. When you look at a lot of Siddurim, they put 3 pages of Kabbalistic stuff to say before, after. There's no need for the Kabbalistic stuff this year. Also, there's no need for the minyan. In fact, there shouldn't be a minyan. Yvette killed me the other day, but when I went to go say the beracha, there were a lot of people there, and they said, let's make kaddish, let's make mincha. I said, guys, no, they just go make the beracha and leave. If you hang around, you're violating the principles that the doctors and the rabbis of the community have laid out. Birkat Ilanot does not need a minyan. It's nice if you have a minyan, but not this year. This year, it's not nice. This year, it's not healthy. It's not safe. People will see it. People say, I want to do it also. No minyan. The greatest rabbis in the world are saying, no minyan. You don't need minyan. So you don't have to be better than the greatest rabbis in the world. So you can still make Birkat Ilanot by yourself, walk by the tree. It takes 20 seconds, and that's a full kavanah. Say the beracha, look at the trees, and move on. And don't gather and congregate around the tree. Don't say the Kabbalistic stuff. If you want, you could say it before or after at home. And don't say the Kaddish. It would be wrong to say the Kaddish. I want to say that strongly. It's wrong to say the Kaddish, because then what you're creating is a situation where more people come and more people gather and more people, no good. Okay? That's Birkat Ilanot. Okay. Let me get to some other things. What time have we got? Good, plenty of time. One of the big challenges that we're going to have this year, but we're going to see it's not as big a challenge, is the Ta'anit Bechorot. You may be familiar, especially if you're a firstborn, you're definitely familiar with the fact that on the day before Pesach, on Erev Pesach, the day that we get rid of the Hametz and all that other stuff, the day of the Seder, meaning before the Seder, firstborns are supposed to fast. They're supposed to fast in memory of the fact that Hashem saved our firstborns when he gave the Makat Bechorot to the Egyptian firstborns. So in exchange, we fast. It's very hard to fast on that day. And for years, many years, predating any of us and our grandparents, people found ways, the Chachamim found ways to allow us to allow us to eat on that day by partaking in some seudat mitzvah, some meal that is a mitzvah. It could be a mitzvah, could be a brit milah, could be a pidyon. Those are hard to schedule. One of the things that are easy to schedule is the siyum. So a siyum means that someone finished learning a masechet of Gemara or a seder of Mishnah. Not easy to do for most people, not easy to do quickly for anybody. Normally, you have to come to the Bet Knesset that morning, and that morning, one of the congregants or one of the rabbis makes a siyum on that masechet. There's a big meal. Everybody eats in that meal, and you could eat. We don't have that this year because we're not going to be in shul. We are going to be able to do it on Zoom. I have studied masechet. I'm finishing masechet berachot, and you can join with me on the siyum masechet berachot if you need to. I'm going to advertise the time. I didn't pick the time yet, but it's probably going to be between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, in that range. Look for our email, our website, and we'll advertise the time. All you have to do is be on the siyum with me, and that is fine. You don't need any more than that, okay? So the Zoom siyum, either with me or other rabbis, that's fine. I saw Rabbi Aluf is making a siyum. There are other people making siyums. So if you're interested in making a siyum, by all means, go ahead, no problem. Make a siyum online, and then you're able to eat that day for firstborns. Okay, also on that day, it's important to make an eruv tavshilin. This has nothing to do with coronavirus. This has to do with the fact that if we have a 3-day holiday on the first half, we go Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbat. In order to be able to cook from Thursday, Friday on to Shabbat, you need eruv tavshilin. It's something that we put on our website, we put on email, it's in the back of the Siddur. You cook the egg, you take a little matzah, you set it aside as a beracha that you read and that you say in a book. If anyone's interested, I'm happy to provide it specifically. You can find me after, and I'll be happy to email you the page out of the Machzor that you could do. Okay, couple of other points,
That's
and then
a-
I'll take questions.
That's a woman's job, correct?
What's that?
That's a woman's job.
The woman could do it. Also, actually, it's also the rabbi's job. The rabbi tends to make one in mind, keeping everybody in mind.
Sorry.
If you forgot. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. So if someone forgot, then I'm happy to. I'm making one, and I have you in mind. So if you forget, you should try to remember. But if you forget, you're covered by the one that I make. Okay. Stevie Shalom, you had a hand raised there. The question?
In the next 60 to 90 days, I would say refiners, we're going to refine.
Okay, Stevie Shalom.
Yeah. What you want to ask?
Rabbi, what about the barbecue?
Yes. Hi, Audrey. What's that?
Rabbi, the barbecue. How do we clean the barbecue?
We said it before. Basically, you have to you have to put tin foil over the grill, turn it on to the highest temperature for about 20-25 minutes. Make sure that the top is closed. You're good.
I told you. Thank you, Rabbi.
No problem, Audrey. Take care. What would we do without Audrey? I don't know. Okay. Next question that people asked me. What about the Zoom Seder? What about the Zoom Seder? So let's talk about the Zoom Seder. So first of all, why would we have a Zoom Seder, right? We're doing a Zoom class, which is working very nicely. It's great to see everybody's faces. Why would I do a Zoom Seder? Well, I could think of a very good reason, right? Which is we're used to getting together with much larger.
Aren't you getting sound? Do you have it?
Sorry, Shifra, I have to mute you. Sorry. We're used to having large groups of people at Seder. The Seder is the best time of the year to have multi-generational family get-togethers and neighbors and so on. It's beautiful. It's a custom that goes all the way back to the original Pesach, where they had to, the rules of Pesach are that you have to finish the meat that you eat that night of a lamb, and so in order to be able to do that, they had to get a lot of people together. It was always that way, and it's very hard to hear that this year the doctors are telling us and the public health officials are telling us you can't do that, because if you do that, you're going to spread the virus and lots of people are going to get sick. And if lots of people get sick, a good percentage of those people, unfortunately, lo aleinu, are going to pass. And we can't even have one person pass that we could prevent. And we really have to be careful about this. And we cannot be cavalier, and we cannot say, oh, the Hashem will protect us, or for the Torah or the mitzvot. No, the Torah says, v'hai bahem. You keep the mitzvot in a way that it's going to give you long life. One of the things that I said in my Sunday class was, we say every year, everybody knows this line. Everyone in the world knows, L'shana ha'ba'a b'Yerushalayim. When we look at the Seder, we're thinking about next Seder, right? It's a very Jewish custom to think about where we're eating next. What are we doing next, right? So we are always thinking about next year. We got to get to next year. We got to make sure that everyone at the Seder gets to next year also. And in order to do that, then we need to stay separate. And therefore, it's going to be challenging, but grandparents are not going to be with grandchildren, and parents and friends and cousins and sisters. This year, we're all alone. It stinks, but we're going to remember it, and we're going to do it the right way. And next year, when we have a Seder all together, we're going to have a much greater appreciation for what it means to have the Seder. We're going to have a much better appreciation. And that's all we could say about it. So someone might say, well, maybe if I zoom in, then I'm not really touching the buttons and so on and so forth. So first of all, as someone who's been using Zoom for quite a while, you touch the buttons a lot. So the idea that no one's going to touch the buttons, I don't believe is a good idea. Things shut off. The sound is no good. You have to mute things. Plus, if you're going to leave it on, you're going to leave it on for 3 days, not happening. So just from a practical standpoint, I don't believe it's possible. But even if it were possible to do, I think that we just have to find other alternatives. And that there are many other alternatives in terms of not the Seder itself, but one alternative that someone put forward that I heard, which I loved beautifully, is at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, get the parents, the grandparents, everyone together on a Zoom at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. and talk about the Seder, and talk about what you're going to talk about at the Seder, and talk about how you love one another, and talk about how you're going to miss one another. And then you've connected. And then have your Seder the way that you're supposed to have the Seder. There's not a halachic allowance for using Zoom over Shabbat, over the Yom Tov. I know there were a few rabbis who allowed it, but the overwhelming majority of rabbis, when I say overwhelming majority, it's more than 99-1, have come out against this and said, we do not support this. So we're with that 99%. We cannot support Zoom Seder. We don't think it's the appropriate way to go. It's challenging, it's difficult, but find other ways that are within the halacha in order to create connections between people. So I think that's important. Those are my, let me see, those are the basic things that I have to get across. You know, I will re-emphasize something that I think by now everyone knows. People should not be going to shul. People should not be making backyard minyanim. Minyan is a wonderful thing, but it's not even number 2 on the list of tefillah. It's much further down. And the level of danger people are putting other people in so that they could selfishly say, I prayed with minyan, is a terrible thing. And it's a misunderstanding of what it means to keep Torah mitzvot. And the people who are doing that, you know, I'm sorry, it's wrong. It's endangering yourselves and other people, and it should not be done. So this is me holding back on what I really think. So I really want to be very clear about this. We're patur from praying with the minyan. The chief rabbis of Israel are praying by themselves. The chief rabbis of the community, all the rabbis of the community, they're praying by themselves. It is gall to think that you are better than those people. I don't think anyone here really thinks that, but I want to put it out there, and that people should understand how strongly we feel about that. At this point, I'll take questions on anything that I said or anything that I didn't say. Feel free to unmute yourself, and I'm happy to answer whatever I can.
Rabbi, could you talk about haircuts, please?
Oh, I forgot haircuts. Good. Thank you for bringing that up. So it's not looking like barbershops and hair salons are going to be open before the holiday, which normally this is their busiest time of year because of the Chol HaMoed and the Omer, where we're not allowed to cut hair. And that's the normal case. This year, whenever it is that we're going to be able to actually go to those places, even if that falls in the middle of the Omer, you will be allowed to do so. Because the halacha of not cutting hair, first of all, it's a custom. It may not even been our custom in Aleppo, but that's a whole nother story. But it's only a custom. And if we're going to have to go into the holiday with uncut hair, and then afterwards we're going to need to we're going to have the ability to cut our hair, even though it's the Omer, we're going to be allowed to do so. So I hope that answers the haircutting question.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Sure.
I know you mentioned about doing the Bechorot the Wednesday before the holiday. How does that pertain to women? I know it's usually pertains to men, but I know my husband always bought for the firstborn in my house who's a girl. She might not be around that early in the morning to hear you say the beracha.
Right. So my answer to that is it only applies to the men. The women, it's nice for them to join in, but it's not required. I would say not necessary. But if she can get up that early in the morning, welcome.
No, I was thinking about my mother, really, not my daughter.
Yeah. So I'm saying whoever can join us, great. But if they don't have to make it, if they can't make it, they're fine.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
And I'll add another thing, which is if there's a person that has any difficulty whatsoever fasting and can't make a siyum, no problem. Just you're fine eating, no problem.
Okay.
Rabbi, in terms of the tefillah for the kelim, you said that you can't do it this year, so you gift it to somebody that's not Jewish. Are you allowed to cook with that keli, even though you gift it to someone else?
Yes.
Okay. And also in terms of, let's say it's raining outside and I leave a bucket out before Pesach and I fill the bucket up with the rainwater. Can I use that for the tefillah water?
Sure, as long as you have about 160 gallons in the bucket.
Oh, wow. That's not possible.
Probably not going to happen. I hope it doesn't rain that much.
And also, can I go to
And
the
even that
beach?
would not, a bucket is not a mikveh. So it actually wouldn't, I'm even joking about that. Even if it could fill with 150 gallons of rainwater, it has to be permanent in the ground. It's not doable.
Right.
You can't create your own mikveh.
And can I use the beach as a mikveh? Can I dip it in the beach?
You can go to the ocean, but be careful because it has to go completely under all at once. You got to get all dirty and wet. It's much easier to say I'm gifting it to a goy.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi.
I have a question about a coated pot.
So hold on, Renee. I have Jeffrey first. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
My wife was wondering, pots that are coated like this on the inside, enamel coated, can they be kosher to be used for Passover if they were used all year round?
Yes. So first of all, I have to ask what the use is, right? What kind of use was it?
What kind of use was it?
Pasta, like to
Boiling pasta, boiling egg.
Boiling pasta, yes. So then just take that, put it in another boiling pot, and that'll be fine.
So Hagala?
Hagala, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
No problem. Renee, go ahead.
What time do we have to stop eating? 10 o'clock?
So by the way, I didn't say this, but on the email that I sent out the other day, and I'll put it out again, I have almost all these halachot in something that's posted in the email, and it'll be posted online as well, so you can look at it. The time that we posted to stop eating chametz, if I'm not mistaken, was around 10 a.m., and that you had to get rid of the chametz by about 11. I don't remember the exact time. It was a little bit after 11, but 10 a.m. to stop eating, basically.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi, how are you, Jackie?
Good. Let me ask a question about burning the chametz. If we do it in the privacy of our backyard, is that like midat ayin or is that okay?
Look, I think it's not necessary. There's no value to burning it over something else.
Okay.
So I think if the FDNY is asking us not to do that, then we should respect what they do. They save lives. They put themselves in danger every day. We should give them the highest level of respect. And there's no value necessarily in burning it over doing something else. So get rid of it in the other ways that we see.
So just like flushing it down the toilet will be fine?
Perfect.
Fine. Thank you so much.
No problem. My pleasure. Other questions?
Rabbi, you broke up on the haircuts thing.
So what I had said about the haircut before, if you didn't hear me, was that the haircut in general is a custom. It's not a halacha. It may not have even been our community custom. There's some debate about that. But that that's all in a normal year. This year, where we're probably not going to be able to take haircuts beforehand, we are like the case in the Gemara where it talks about someone who was released from prison. Someone who's released from prison is allowed to cut his hair even on the Chol HaMoed, which is much more strict than on the Omer. So you will feel like you are released from prison at some point in the middle of the Omer. And if we're able to cut our hair at that time, so be it, and you will not need to wait till the end of the Omer. Okay? Any other questions?
Rabbi?
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. I missed a little bit of the part where you said how to the koshering of the pots and utensils. Not new utensils, just pots and utensils in general, the boiling.
Right. So I'm happy. You know what? I'll give you a call after because I explained that once or twice. But I'll happy to give you a call and give you the whole.
Okay.
The whole
All right. I appreciate it.
No problem. I will call you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Rabbi, do we have to clean our offices, especially that we're not going to be there at this point?
No, sell it. Just sell it. If there's anywhere that you're not going to be, just sell it. So if you have a house in Deal, Florida, Israel, Puerto Rico, wherever, just put it on the list and sell it.
Thank you.
Rabbi,
yes.
Last question. If
Sure.
I go to Deal and I have the extra refrigerator in the cabana that I'm not living in, could I put like a pizza pie, a big ziti for the breaking of the fast, or no? Baking
Yes,
of the
just put tape over it or a sign on it, sold for chametz, and make sure you sell that address or that aspect of that address for the holiday.
By the way, Rabbi, I love you.
Love you too, Audrey.
Okay, I really do. I love it.
Rabbi?
Anybody else? Any other questions? Yeah, Ezra, go ahead.
If we didn't search the house, but we believe that there's no chametz in the house in Deal, can we go there on Chol HaMoed?
That's a good question.
So you should do so you're not getting there till the holiday, right?
We're not planning on spending the holiday there, but we want to maybe go during Chol HaMoed.
Right. So first of all, you should sell anything that's there. You should sell that address. So that really covers you anyway. If you get there and you see that there's any chametz, that's sold. You could put it in a cabinet or cover it up or put a blanket over it or something like that, and you're good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, wait, and what about how to do a roof tashilin? Could that we ask?
We'll send that out on an email. It's very easy. Egg, you get an egg and a matzah, and there's a bit of hot to say. It's very simple, very easy. We'll send that out.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Anybody else?
Yeah, Rabbi, I'm sorry, one more. Are we
No
going to be
problem.
getting a schedule, when to pray, when to say things?
Yeah, all that. So next week, that's been a little busy, but my next week is going to be getting out for people because everyone, normally you come to shul and you know what to do. It's not going to be that way. Your father's going to be a little more relaxed, I think, but the rest of us are going to have to know what to do. So I will be sending out a very detailed list of what to pray when we change from Mashiach Baruch Hamorita Geshem to Hamorita Tal, Hallel, and so on. I will have all of that, and I'll try and do my best to give it to everybody.
Perfect.
Question. You
Yes.
said before you can kosher a coated pot. That means you can kosher a Teflon pot?
Yeah.
News
Yeah.
to me. Okay.
Yeah. Good news. Good news. Anything else?
And the Omed, when do we start the Omed?
So that'll be on the Tefillah list. That's the second night of the holiday. That'll be the Thursday night. We start counting the Omer.
Right.
Which is going to be a little more challenging for us this year because we don't go to shul and we don't have that reminder. But we'll do our best.
Rabbi, there's an app. I think everyone should download it on their phone. It rings you at night every night.
Great.
Rabbi, we can kosher frying pans?
Yeah, sure. Do me a favor, send me an email on that one, and I'll give you the details about that. Okay. All right. Unless there's other questions, which there might be, unless there's other questions, we're going to start praying our beat. Let me just admit one or two of the people to the Arbit session. Hold on. Okay. So thank you, everyone who came to the class. We're going to stop the recording here. I will have a recording, and if anyone's interested, I'll be posting it online. And we're going to say our beat now. So please join us for our beat.
Happy, healthy holiday, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.